Hey, Sabby, the apostate music journalist here. I just want to take a moment to say thank you to the late, great B.B. King, who just celebrated what would have been his 100th birthday. Early on in my time writing about music, in April of 2004, I had the great fortune of interviewing B.B. King. And it was really a career and life-defining experience for me because he was so gracious. He happened to be on another interview before me, and I had to start late, and I was waiting for a little while. And we were initially given like a time limit, 20 minutes, something like that. And he said, no, because I was late, I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna sit with you. This was over the phone, but I'm going to answer every question you have. So the interview ended up running much longer than what was originally allotted. And man, what a gratifying experience. What a feather in your cap. And it was such a moral boost for me to have that happen so early on. But it started before then, because when I confirmed the assignment, there is a local blues musician who I've known for many years at this point. His name is Steve Grills. He has been something of like a big brother mentor figure to me. And he's like, oh, you're interviewing B.B. King, so here's B.B. King's autobiography co-written by David Ritz. You can borrow my copy. He had me over at his home. Steve showed me a VHS tape with old interview footage, really sat with me in his study, and I remember this distinctly, and it felt so great to be doing this kind of research. And I remember thinking, oh, okay, every time I've got an assignment in a certain style of music, I'll consult one of my friends to be like a field agent in my research. And so I actually read the book and watched this video with Steve, and I remember I did just look this up to find out what the interview was. It's not on YouTube. There are 3 interviews from 1969 that are on YouTube that touch on something similar, but the one that I saw, I'm having trouble finding right now. But in that interview, B.B. King said, I have a sound that I'm pursuing in my head, but I don't know that if it were walking toward me down the street that I would even recognize it. And I thought, boom. That is the perfect opening, decades later, to say, well, you said this back in 1950, whatever, early 60, whatever. Where are you now with that? And at the end of the conversation, he didn't call me son or boy, but he had that tone of speaking to this really young person. And he might as well have been like, boy, you asked some good questions. And that was such a boost. In fact, that is one of the most important compliments I've ever gotten in that whole process. Starting out as a, writer early on, and to this day it means the world to me. And during that interview, he actually sang over the phone a little radio jingle that he had written way back in 1948. I'm going to read you a little bit from the article I wrote about that story. The year was 1948, and Riley B. King had recently migrated from rural Mississippi to Memphis, Tennessee. King, still green with inexperience and somewhat timid, had just landed a chance gig at the 16th Street Grill in nearby West Memphis, Arkansas. The owner, Miss Annie, told him she'd award him with a steady engagement if he could get on the radio and advertise her club. Determined and filled with newfound courage, King decided to try his luck at WDIA, the country's first station to hire black DJs. With his acoustic guitar clutched to his chest to protect it from water, he hiked across Memphis in the pouring rain, entered the control room, tapped on the glass window, and said, "I'd like to make a record." The rest, as they say, is history. Soon thereafter, King became a DJ at the station himself, was tagged with the nickname BB, short for Blues Boy, and his career began in earnest. The Pepticon story is but one gem in a total life experience positively brimming with stories, which you can read about in the book, in the autobiography, which I highly recommend, by the way. So it's cliched to say, but B.B. King, still lives on and on and on and on and on. David Ritz surmised back when that book was published in 96 that B.B. King is perhaps the most traveled musician in modern history. And we have no way of verifying that, but it tracks. So there you go. That's my BB King story. And I've linked in the description below to the article I wrote. I've not yet transferred the audio, but you'll definitely want to hit that subscribe and notification button so you won't miss that. I can't wait to share this with you all. This is like the perfect occasion for it. So yeah, so stay tuned for that. Other than that, let us know in the comments, what are your stories with BB King or anyone of that stature, that age, that vintage, right? So a figure of that just endurance, or anything related to anything I've said here, like early career with you, stories of people you had encounters with that might have been a real boost to your morale and to your sense of direction, your life direction, right? Something that pivotal. Let me know. Other than that, for Feedback Def, I'm Sabby Reyes Kulkarni, the Apostate Music Journalist. Over and out.